Welcome to another Health Detective Talk. My name is Roberto Parker with the Innovative Sports Training. Today is another topic on sports performance. Now, if you're a competitive athlete, a coach, a parent of a child, or an athlete who wants to improve their athletic performance, this talk is for you. If you're not necessarily a highly competitive athlete, but you're an athletic type of person, maybe you're involved in some athletic events on the weekend, you're a weekend warrior, you're going to get involved in some adventure races like the Tough Mudder, maybe a triathlon or something like that. This talk is for you. I'm going to go into, can you build strength and speed simultaneously? It is possible, but it's very, very hard to do. You have to be very scientific and smart about it. I've said this before in other blogs that I've done, video blogs. The body does not multitask very well. The body does not like repetitive chronic stress of doing the same thing day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. When you do that, you tend to tear the body down and some nasty things can occur, such as atrophy, such as disease process. But that's a whole nother topic. So let's talk about, can you build strength and speed simultaneously? You have to do it in a partitioning type of way, which I'll go into right now. But let's talk about the fundamental differences first. First of all, let me say this. I've been training athletes for over 35 years, and I've done a lot of different things. I'm a lot more evolved and mature in my thinking than I was 35 years ago. I used to just lift guys and just go outside and make them run wind sprints. That was our idea of improving their speed. I wasn't really very scientific about it, but like I said, I have evolved a long, long way since then. Speed is harder to build than strength. Why? Because speed is more neuromuscular. In other words, it's more connected to the nervous system. You have to change your motor pathways. Changing your motor pathways is much more long-term of a task than changing the strength and size of your muscles. Now, across the board there, strength, on the other hand, is more cellular muscle. You can build cell tissue much faster than you can change the neuromuscular aspect of tissue. Now, the second one is muscle memory. Now, muscle memory, I'll use this as an example. Shooting free throws in basketball. Okay? Why do basketball players shoot maybe 1,000 free throws a day? Because they're trying to establish muscle memory. You're in the batting cage taking BP. Why do you do that? Maybe 500 times a day. You're trying to establish muscle memory. It's neuromuscular. Now, on the other side of that, strength work will develop force production, which will help your speed, no doubt about it. It will help your speed. But strength alone will not necessarily improve speed. You have to retrain those motor pathways, as I said in the previous example. You have to establish that muscle memorization. Now, here's a fancy term for you, a very elaborate term, proprioception. That's pretty much, you know what your body's doing in space, the angle of the joint, the depth of your body. Are you three-dimensional? Are you linear, plane, sagittal plane, transverse plane, frontal plane, forward, backward, sideways, rotating? You have to know where you are in space. Now, the flip side of that, that's also more neuromuscular oriented. The flip side of that is muscle girth. Now, all strength programs don't necessarily have you put a lot of body weight on necessarily, but there is some muscle tonus going on at least. You will increase your muscle tone and probably some muscle girth. That will change proprioception. That may also change muscle memory because you're basically establishing a new body for yourself. It's like this, for an example. You've been driving on the same set of tires for the past 6 months in your automobile. So now you go out and you buy a brand new set of tires. And you can feel the difference in the car, in the suspension. Your body's the same way. When you establish a whole new body by way of doing more strength work, you are changing the proprioception. You are changing the muscle memorization, so to speak. And somewhat, also not so somewhat, you are changing the neuromuscle adaptation to that. Now, the fourth one is this. Building speed, as I said earlier, is much more of a long-term process. It might take you several months to build speed. Whereas strength work can be done not in a real short period of time, but a more intermediate period of time. Now, I've been training athletes for 35 years. And I've done a lot of pre and post testing for strength and speed and agility. And I can tell you this. The shorter that window of time between your pre and post test, the less improvement you're going to have. Now, why do I say that? Because if you implement a strength and conditioning program for your athletes or for yourself, you start doing, let's say, power cleans and squats and that kind of thing, and maybe some bench press, your body will change. And let's say you run a 40-yard dash. You ran your 40-yard dash in a 4.54. That's pretty good 40. 4.5 40-yard dash. You implement a strength program, and about 8 weeks later, you retime yourself in the 40-yard dash. More than likely, what you're going to find is this. If you really spend a lot of time in the strength side, your 40-yard dash probably will go down. Not go down in a good way. I mean, you're probably on a 4.6 or 4.7 possibly. Why? Because you've totally changed the proprioception, the muscle memorization, and the neuromuscle adaptation of what you're doing. Now, you have to cycle on, and I've used that word a lot in my presentations here. You make sure you have to periodize and cycle it correctly. There's a period of time when you do a lot of strength work. You have to turn the volume down, focus more on the neuromuscular side of it to improve your speed or your jumps. I've made this mistake many times myself, where I would test athletes and I only have about 4 or 5 weeks to work with them. I retest them and all their scores got worse. They probably got better in the long run, but unfortunately I wasn't able to test them. But you have to have at least, in my opinion, and I've been doing this for a long time, 3 to 4 to 5 months in order to see really great gains of speed, strength, agility. Okay? More so speed and agility. You can actually improve your strength within about a month or two. You'll see some gains there. But chances are you will not see significant gains in speed. Okay, now moving along here. I want to talk about this real quick. When you're in a strength program and you're doing a lot of volume, that is what we call catabolic aspect of what's going on with your body metabolically. In other words, you're in tear down mode when you're doing a lot of this. Anabolic is the flip side. Anabolic is where your body is now building. You don't get stronger during workouts, ladies and gentlemen. And this applies to whether you're an athlete or a non-competitive athlete. You don't get stronger during workouts. You get stronger in between workouts. That is why you must cycle properly the right type of food and the right amount of rest in between training sessions. Because if you're overdoing it, you're always catabolic, you're always tearing down, and that's how you get hurt. That's how you get sick. That's even how you get diseases, if you're always in tear down mode. You have to let the body recover and heal and become more anabolic. And once the anabolic side kicks in, which is building up, then your speed will improve. That is why you must periodize and cycle off doing certain types of strength exercises, particularly squats. If you're doing a lot of heavy squats, there's no way in heck you're going to improve your speed if you test within a day or two after doing squats, because it takes your nervous system about at least a week, maybe close to 2 weeks to recover from that if you've just done a heavy squat day. Now, here are some different type of drills that I recommend that you can implement in your program for yourself and for your athletes. Plyometrics. That develops neuromuscular development and power. So a little bit of strength involved there too. That means jumping on boxes, a series of bounding exercises, one-legged hopping. With little kids, you can even do little hopping drills with rings. Speed ladder work. That's more neuro-coordinative patterns of movements. I do that a lot in my practice here. In fact, I do a lot of plyos too, for that matter. Sometimes what I do with plyos, to make it more strength-oriented, we'll hold weights in our hands as we're jumping on boxes. If you want to make it less strength-oriented and more speed-oriented, you don't use weights. Olympic weightlifting. Olympic weightlifting are things like power cleans, snatches, push press, jerks. You can also do those with dumbbells, just not barbells. Even certain kettlebell movements are good for developing the neuro power strength adaptation. Once again, the heavier you go, the more the strength side you're going to lean towards. The lighter you go for more speed, it's going to be more neuro. Powerlifting. Now, powerlifting is a little bit different than Olympic lifting in that powerlifting is more heavy squats, bench press, deadlifts, military press. That's more power type lifting. We isolate the muscle. We don't focus more on speed. We focus more on how much weight you can push and size and strength. But once again, as I said, the more you do, look guys, what I'm saying is this. Those are all good things to do, but you have to cycle off that kind of stuff in order for you to improve your speed if you're ever going to test out. Okay? In the long run, strength, doing powerlifting and lifting will help you. But I don't recommend doing it a day or two before you test out your speed or your jump days. Okay? So for example, if you're going to be timing the 40, don't do heavy squats. If you're going to do a vertical jump test, don't do heavy squats a week before you do it. Over speed drills. Now that's things like being towed by a bungee cord, getting on a trampoline, doing real fast movements, running down a slight decline, which I do a lot of myself with my athletes that I train in the summertime. Just an ever so slight decline, not a real steep decline, just an ever so slight, maybe a 3 or 4 or 5% decline grade. Getting on a treadmill that can go about 12 miles, 12, 15, 20 miles an hour. Getting on there and just working on overspeed. It makes you move your arms and your legs faster than you would normally run. Doing enough of that type of training will definitely emphasize more neuro-muscle. Okay? So guys, all this stuff combined together takes a scientific approach. And once again, as I say in all my presentations, it all is relative to the individual. I don't believe that everybody should do the same thing. In other words, if you have 4 weeks of lifting, heavy weights, and then 4 weeks of conditioning, followed by your season, that might work for some people. With other people, it might take 8 weeks of lifting, maybe 4 weeks of conditioning before your season starts, or before you're timed in your speed work, or your agility work, or your vertical jump test, or your standing long jump test. Everybody's different. Not to mention the type of food you ought to be putting in your system. That's going to vary from person to person. Didn't even talk about that today, because I don't want to make this presentation too long here. So, you must cycle between catabolic, anabolic, speed and strength, putting in the right type of drills. It's like a puzzle you're putting together. But that's where I come in. I've been doing this for 35 years, working with athletes, professional athletes, high school athletes, collegiate athletes. I work with individuals who are trying to lose weight, who are trying to improve their lifestyle, who are trying to reduce the aging process. I work with a whole wide plethora of people out there. Call me. 816-405-7703 is my number. I'll be more than happy to talk with you. I can also work with you if you don't live in the local area of Kansas City. This thing called the internet. Kind of cool, isn't it? So give me a call. Let's talk. I'll be more than happy to work with you. By the way, my email is rwpsports@yahoo.com. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye, guys.